Hi everybody. I'm going to give everybody a second to kind of log on. I've never done this in my personal profile before, so I apologize in advance for anything that might be a little bit weird. Oh, there's a way to invite people. Okay, next time I'll do that instead of tagging you. And I don't want to be obnoxious, so I'm asking if people want to be tagged, I'll tag you so you don't miss it, but I don't want anybody to ever feel like I don't want to tag you in something you don't want to be tagged in either. Only for people who want to. So let me see if there's a way to share it to my group while I'm sitting here waiting for some people to come on. I don't know if there is. Okay. Well, if anybody else would like to share it to my group, if you're seeing this, or share it to somewhere else, that'd be great. If not, I guess I'll just share it afterwards. And whoever needs the message is going to see it in divine timing. And if you're watching this on YouTube, sorry, we're doing this live, so that's what's happening. But I'm going to put it on YouTube afterwards too, just because I set the intention that anybody who needs to hear this message, and it can be the highest, we'll get to it whenever they need it, and we'll set the intention this will have the highest, everything will happen in the highest good of all who are here. So welcome. So for those of you who don't know me, my name is Leah Cass. I am an intuitive life coach and a consciousness mentor. I really specialize in helping people go through deep transformations in their lives, right? And today I kind of want to talk about a topic I posted about my group briefly yesterday, and I want to go into a little bit more detail. But in order to do that, I kind of feel like I need to tell you a little bit more about my story, so you have a little bit more of the context from where I'm coming from. And I'm also going to try to set the energetic intention to clear any resistance from the field, because some of this might be a little bit triggering. So, just take deep breaths. Try to listen with an open mind is what I ask from you, because I have a lot of reasons for why I think the way that I do and why I express things the way that I do. But at the end of the day, I think a lot of different people are trying to express things in different ways, and they use different words, and then we reach different people, and it's perfect the way that it is, if that makes sense. So how did I get here? How did I get to be the owner of Soul Revitalization Healing? How did I get to be in this place where I'm doing live videos on Facebook? I don't know. It was not my intention. It's not what I wanted to be whenever I grew up when I was a little girl. I actually wanted to be an Egyptologist, amongst other things. That didn't happen. That wasn't the path that was meant for me in this lifetime. I ended up going through a really deep, dark night of the soul and depression, okay? I've shared some of my story before where I had kind of an abusive and traumatic childhood, and I'll talk about that a little bit more, but that's not really what this is about. I kind of spent so much of my life surviving that it wasn't until I did all these different things, and I almost had a moment to breathe, and that's when everything fell apart for me, okay? So without getting into too much detail, because this is a short video, I just want to say, I went through this whole dark night of the soul, and I felt like everything in my entire life was falling apart. And as many of us do whenever we've been through traumatic experiences, or, come from a background we're in a more oppressed group or anything like that, we try to create stability in any way that we can. Okay, so many times we try to create stability and we try to control our circumstances, especially if we came from really uncertain times before. So, that might be with a job or a family or a relationship or whatever it is that we can create this sense of normalcy and stability. And I kind of did the same things. I finished my degree, I got a job, I struggled to accomplish all these things because I think I felt like if I did all of these things, then everything was going to be okay and I'd be safe and nobody could hurt me again. So what's the problem with that? Nothing really. There's nothing wrong with trying to accomplish things in your life, but the problem is it doesn't solve any of your problems whatsoever. Especially if you have a really traumatic background, especially if you've had a lot of uncertainty in your life. So the problem is once you build up these things, they can be taken away at any single time. And if they are, you're left with what? In the past. Does that make sense? So that's kind of where I'm coming from and how I kind of started on this journey, because whenever I went through feeling like everything was falling apart, I went into very deep depression. I had a lot of anxiety. Trigger warning, I had a lot of suicidal impulses. I never actually attempted it, but I did not want to be alive at all, okay? And I'm not trying to be dramatic here. I'm just trying for you to understand where my headspace was. And I'm going to be honest, most of the people who are attracted to me and my message anyways probably have too, so I'm not that worried about it because I feel like most of us have probably been in that kind of space. So, and it was not this short period of time, it was years, okay? It was years. I made it to work somehow, but there was a couple months too before things got a little bit better where I was crying every single day. I was crying at work. I was crying on the bus. I was crying at home. I was getting Charlie horses because I was so dehydrated from crying. And nothing even triggered, well, I mean, something did trigger it, but nothing external that seemed like it would be big enough to trigger that kind of reaction did. It was just this deep, deep depression. And what I know now, but I didn't know then, was I was going through a deep spiritual awakening, and all of this wounding that I'd had from this life and other lives was coming up, and I was having to face all of the emotions that I had repressed for years and years and years and years, okay? But being the problem solver that I am, and just wanting to fix the things so that I can move on with my life and move on to like the good part of my life, because my mentality was, I sure as hell am not going to be spending the rest of my life miserable if I was miserable like in my childhood and all these other things. Like, I'm in control now. I can make things better, right? Well, no, it wasn't right, because I had to face all this wounding, and I never faced any of that pain and any of those experiences that I had, right? So I started looking for help. I went to spiritual healers. I went to psychics. I certainly didn't believe in psychics at the time, but I went to psychics, trying to look for whatever answers that I could. And I think really I wanted somebody to tell me that I was going to be okay. I went to mental health therapists. I went to psychiatrists. I went to all kinds of different people just to try whatever I could to make myself feel better. And even in the midst of all of this, I was just not real. I was realizing that everything that I was getting, all the information that I was getting from people, was not complete. Nothing was ever working to actually heal me. Like, I would be getting all this advice on how to manage my symptoms or to cope or all this kind of thing. And people would say stuff like, oh, well, you just might have to deal with it. Like, this is just something you're going to have to deal with the rest of your life. And I was like, no, I don't want to have to deal with this the rest of my life. Like, how do we heal this? How do we fix this? And there's more there. That was my own stuff that I'm not going to get into right now. But you know, I had a lot of people just say things to me like, I had spiritual healers tell me, well, you just need to be happy. Okay, I'm trying. Like, what do I need to do? And nobody could tell me how. They would just tell me that I just needed to be happy. That's not really how it works, by the way, just so you know. Please don't ever say that to someone who's going through depression. I had a psychiatrist one time tell me some people just never get better because it'd been a couple months and I wasn't doing any better on medication. Also, something I was not willing to accept at this time, that I'm never going to get better. And she was wrong, by the way. I did get better. End of the story. There is a happy ending to all of this. So why am I saying this? I'm saying this because I would go to therapists and they'd be like, well, let's just make a journal and you'll be able to like schedule your life and then everything will be fine. And like, they'd give me all these coping mechanisms that nothing really helped. Okay. Nothing really helped. Nothing solved my problem. They might make you feel better in the moment, but that doesn't mean that it really like solved any of the things that were going on with me. It didn't change how I felt on a day-to-day basis. And I also felt like I shouldn't have to work this hard to be happy. Like, I shouldn't have to meditate 5 hours a day. I shouldn't have to like go for walks and everything just to wake up and like not want to die. That's not a life worth living, right? So I ended up trying a bunch of different things, and I took a little bit from everyone I talked to, because I did get a little bit from a bunch of different types of healers and a bunch of different methods. I started reading about Zen Buddhism. I started taking in all of these different healing modalities. And I kind of started combining a system that worked for me. And I'm going to talk about that more slowly as we go through things. But it was kind of me being able to come through a lot of the different, put together a lot of the different things that I came across. That was what finally worked for me, is being able to do a whole bunch of different things. So I know I'm not alone in this, and I know I'm not the only person who has that problem, but so that's part of why I came up with this idea for soul revitalization. And I didn't want it to just be like me being a life coach, although that's what it is now. I eventually want to have kind of like a whole center where people who are going through this kind of things can try all of the different things that are out there, and kind of find whatever system works for them, because I think they're all very individual. So that's a little background on my story and just really the context of where I'm going with this and why. So one of the things that a lot of people do whenever they talk about anxiety is they talk about managing your symptoms. And what we do to manage our anxiety is we try to control, right? Okay, well, I'm anxious about this, so I'm going to do everything that I can in my power. I'm going to schedule out my day. I'm going to do this. I'm going to put all these safeguards in place. I'm going to put all these things into place, and that's what's going to manage my anxiety. And that's a really common coping mechanism right now with anxiety. And that's what it is, a coping mechanism. Does that actually heal what's really going on and making you so anxious in the first place? No, it's not. And that is what I am here to talk about right now. So there's nothing wrong with coping, and sometimes we need coping to get us through the moment. However, a lot of things that we don't really want to talk about, that's the truth of the reality of being alive and being a human, is life is very uncertain. There's nothing that we can control. There's nothing that our ego is in control of, okay? I've tried to let my ego be in control over and over again, and no matter how much I plan my life, it just keeps going in a different direction. A better direction, mind you, but it keeps going in a different direction than what I anticipated. So when you see a lot of people talking about anxiety and like all the different things that they do to try to control their life and as a way of like coping with anxiety or healing anxiety, we're not really doing ourselves a favor by looking at things that way. I hope I'm making sense. We're not doing ourselves a favor because we're not dealing with what's underneath, and any of those things can be taken away from us at any minute. So if you have your house and your job and all of these different things that you feel are what's going to keep you safe and secure, the second those go away, then we're really screwed, right? And the reason I really feel called to talk about this right now is because widespread right now, these are really uncertain times, right? A lot of people are freaking out, a lot of people are not doing well, and a lot of people are not doing okay, because what has this year been but some shit show of uncertainty, right? We start off with this pandemic. Nobody knows if it's real or not. Nobody knows, well, I mean, I have opinions on that, but like, nobody knows like what's going on with all the social justice stuff. Nobody knows what's going on with our government. We don't know if we're going to have money to pay our bills the next couple months. Businesses might go out of business, right? All of these things, like pretty much everything that we've ever known before this year has come into question. So a lot of people are really freaking out. School, something that people used to always depend on with their kids. We don't know what's going to go on with school, right? And a lot of people are freaking out. Why? Because a lot of us are not comfortable with uncertainty, and any anxiety or any negative emotions that we've had to experience in our lifetime, we might have just tried to cope away instead of learning how to sit with it. And I really think that that's why a lot of us are struggling so much right now in uncertain times. And I'm here to tell you, not to like scare you or anything, but it's not going to get better anytime soon as far as like external stability, especially over the rest of this year. Things are going to feel less and less stable. I don't like take joy in telling you this, but I don't know everything that's going to happen, but I do know that things are not going to become more stable anytime soon. And that's okay. This is actually a good time. My life fell apart when it needed to fall apart because I needed to have a reckoning with myself and what I built and build something different. And collectively, that's what we're all doing too. Everything is falling apart so that we can build something different. Whether or not you believe it's intended or not, we have an opportunity to create a better world. And I think we're starting to see right now all of the different blind spots and weak spots and all of the things we've been ignoring because we've been so busy coping and living our lives and distracting ourselves from how we're feeling, that we actually have to come to a sit still right now. We have come to a sit still over the last couple of months, and we have to face it, and we have to realize that what we built isn't working and it's not going to keep us safe. And that's scary. Everybody take a deep breath. Everybody who's watching this, I don't want anybody to like start freaking out. My intention is to leave you feeling uplifted, not even more freaked out, but I understand that you might feel that way. And it's okay to be anxious and it's okay to cope. But until we start getting really comfortable with uncertainty, guys, we are not going to be creating a better world, and we are going to be miserable over the next few years as a lot of changes start coming. Here's the other problem. When we're living in a place of fear because we're so uncomfortable with uncertainty, we also give our power away to people who might not have our best interests at heart. So we might be begging for a savior. We might be begging for somebody to come in and fix all of the problems that we have, and they might have their interests at heart, not ours. But when we are able to be comfortable with uncertainty, when we are able to kind of move past the fear and be comfortable with the fact that we don't really know where things are going, we can actually have the presence of mind to create a world and create circumstances from our sense of higher power instead of from a sense of fear. I hope that's making sense. I don't know if I have any comments. Okay, I don't. Good. If you have any questions, though, let me know. I know what I'm talking about is a little bit confusing. So what I'm trying to say right now is we really have to get comfortable with the fact that the world is going to be uncertain for a long time, and we have to be able to sit with those difficult emotions and still maintain our sense of personal power. And I'm going to be starting a course over the next couple of months. I think it's probably going to be launching in September right about now, to kind of help with mindfulness, being radically present, all that kind of stuff. I kind of have two different audiences here. So to talk to like the people who are kind of just getting into meditation stuff, we're going to talk about managing anxiety, but there's a lot of people who I know who are in the quote unquote light worker community who are also they're feeling a little bit adrift too, and they're not really realizing a lot of what's going on and how we all kind of need to be really radically present right now as we create a better world. And that's really the best thing that we have going for us right now, is being able to be radically present. But it's so hard because that's been our coping skill for so long. And it was really hard for me to break that habit too, because I didn't know how I was going to feel safe if I didn't feel like everything was going to happen. If you look at a lot of like psychic readings, a lot of people who get psychic readings just because they feel like they want somebody to tell them everything's going to be okay and that the outcome's going to be okay. And I do want to tell you we're all going to be okay. Everything's going to be okay. But we are going to have a much better and easier outcome if we're able to get really comfortable with uncertainty and learn to just accept things the way that they are. And if we are able to just kind of bring the energy of power, personal power, acceptance, and love to the present moment so that we can create a better moment instead of giving our power away by trying to control what we think we needs to be controlled. And by that, I think a lot of people are really grasping at trying to preserve the past and make the future more like the past. But the past hasn't been serving us. That's why it's falling apart right now. So I hope that makes sense. I hope whoever needed the message today got it. And we're going to be talking a lot more about presence and acceptance, because over the next couple of days, we're going to be talking about it, but over the next couple of years, it's going to be even more important that we really just kind of get to that point where we're able to accept things. Sorry, my cat is here trying to distract me. I'm going to have her say hi to you guys. Say hi, Izzy. Say hi. Okay, so anyway, she wants to help us. But yeah, so what we're talking about here is it's a little bit hard to like stomach, and it's a little bit hard to get. It is hard. I get a little nervous too. And it's okay to use those coping mechanisms to get you through your day in the meantime. But overall, what we need to kind of start working on is really more being able to accept things the way that they are and just really staying in the present moment. So we're going to be talking about that a lot too, because you're not going to get off this video, and even if you completely understand my rambling, you're not going to be able to just like turn it on and just accept and just be done being anxious tomorrow. And I want to be crystal clear. I'm not talking about like PTSD and stuff like that. You need more specific mental health help if that's the case, and just more one-on-one attention if that's the case, than like a YouTube live or a Facebook live video. And I'm happy to get you in touch with resources for that. I'm talking about more of the general well-being. I hope that makes sense. So basically, get used to being uncertain. It's going to be okay. You've been through so much before, and you'll get through this too. We've been through storms before, okay? So we don't have to pretend that things are not bad. Things are bad and things are scary, but we have to realize that we have the tools to get through things that are scary. And we've done it over and over again, and we've been okay on the other end, and we're going to be okay on the other end here too. I promise you that you have the tools, and we're going to keep working on building the tools too. All right. So that was my first live on my personal page. I don't even know if I made sense. I hope I did. I'm doing the best that I can, and I hope that you are too. We're all just stretching ourselves right now. We're all trying something new. So I love you very much. One-on-one sessions are booking up. So if you did want to book a one-on-one session, I'll post the links below so you can see it. And also, like I said, I'm going to be starting a course in September that's going to be about mindful transformation and how to really come to a radical acceptance of the way things are so that we can create a better future. That's really a lot of what I want to do, is be able to do that so we're not creating from a place of fear and giving our power away where it doesn't belong. Okay? All right. I love you very much. Have a wonderful evening, and I will talk to you guys soon. Bye.